Hello. Hey, how you doing? I'm back doing the podcast. I honestly couldn't wait to get back doing this. I forced myself to take a break after doing 8 or 9 episodes, and that was just because I wanted to have some more experiences, get some more ideas. I didn't want to just start rambling about absolutely nothing. And yesterday I had an experience that I really just wanted to talk about, and I'm going to get into it. First, I just wanted to say that I started posting a lot more frequently on my TikTok for this podcast, and I did receive a lot of more views and of my podcast and downloads. And I just wanted to say, if you like the podcast and if you were listening to any of my episodes, or if you commented about my podcast that you like it or followed my I really, 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 really appreciate it. If anyone wants to come and listen to what I say, that's really, really nice, and I really appreciate it. And I just really hope that the podcast can relate to you in some way, because I needed someone to relate to, but I didn't really know where to find that. And I was just hey, I have stories of my own. I have perspectives and experiences of my own. Why not me be that person for whoever else is looking for someone to relate to if they don't have that? So that's why I made the podcast. Anyway, moving on. I also wanted to mention that it's a new year. It's a new year, and I want to be a lot more intentional with what I'm doing. I'll have all of these ideas of things that I want to do, things that I want to accomplish in the new year. I did it last year. I think everyone does it. But I really want to put a lot of focus in trying to achieve those goals, or trying to take the steps to achieve the goals, and not just be we'll worry about it later. Procrastinating is one of the worst things for me. I can't explain why. I just end up procrastinating, be okay, I'll do it later. But this year I really just want to make sure that I don't do that, because procrastinating really, it doesn't really do you any good. And I don't want to be that person this year. There's a lot I want to accomplish. I'm going to be 22 this year, and I just want to be a lot more intentional with how I'm achieving my goals, the steps that I'm taking, and everything like that, as I'm sure many other people are. And that does kind of fall into the introvert stuff, okay? I do want to be a little bit more social. Oh my gosh, I can't even explain. Okay, so let me get started explaining what just happened. So yesterday I went back to college. I wasn't in college. I was in college this entire time, but I went back on campus for a class. Oh my gosh. It's so hard to explain. Let me just jump in. Let me just explain. I'm sorry. Okay. So I go on campus for this class, and I have a far kind of commute, because I'm still living, the same place I was living, but it's kind of a far commute to campus and whatever. And I have this one day I'm supposed to be on campus in class or whatever, in 2 different classes really. It works as I have one class and then a pretty long break in the middle, and then I have another class. So I have to kind of occupy myself on campus while waiting for the next class or whatever. So really the day before, I'm okay, I'm not really nervous about this. The only thing I'm worried about is waking up early, because I haven't been waking up super early, at the crack of dawn for a long time. I've been an online student for the past semester and a half. Whatever. So I wasn't really, nervous or worried about this whole semester. Okay. The next day I get up, I get dressed early, crack of dawn, get in my car and start driving. I put on an outfit that I was really feeling and I was comfortable in, and I liked, and I was confident, and I was good. When I say confident, I don't mean a cocky confidence. I just mean I was confident in being there and going to school, and I was gonna be okay. I'm not gonna be worried or anything. So I get to class, and you picture what you're going to experience before you get there, usually, sometimes, whatever. And I did. I pictured me stepping into a big lecture hall with 200 students in it, and, just finding a spot to disappear in for 2 seconds while I read the room and figure out who's in this class, and look around, look at the teacher, try to figure out the vibes of this teacher. But anyway, I get to my class and I open the door, and it's this like tiny classroom, and it's like smaller than like your average high school classroom. It was like that small. It was probably about like 20 students in this class, and I was like, oh gosh, no, ugh, whatever. And I'm gonna have to come to this class whenever I have this class. So everybody that is in this class, I came like right on time, like literally maybe I'll say 2 minutes before class was supposed to start. And I guess everybody had already come, whatever. They found their seats. Everyone already took like the good corner seats. You know what I mean? Like the back corner, the front corner, the whatever. So I had to like really like squeeze into like the middle of this class, like find a seat. And I felt I had my hair out in like a twist out kind of afro-ish because it blew up on the way to class. Like it like got so frizzy, but whatever. Who cares? But anyway, I had to sit in front of this girl, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's not going to be able to see. She was already sitting here. I was like, she's not going to be able to see the board. She's not going to be able to see the teacher because of my hair. I started like freaking myself out internally. And I was just like, let me just take a deep breath and calm down because it's not that serious. I mean, obviously, if she can't see, she could say something. She could, whatever. And I was trying to be accommodating for her. And I was like, maybe I should move. I didn't, because that would be ridiculous if I like got up. Like, and then I would make bring more attention to myself. And we don't want that, okay? So I get there. It's a small class, not what I expected. And then the class starts, right? The teacher starts talking. He seems kind of like an introverted dude. We come around to that point in class where this is a small enough class to do an icebreaker. Fantastic. We love icebreakers as introverts. And I was like, oh crap, what am I gonna say? Like, we have to like say our name and our major and everything like that in front of the class. We actually had to talk to the person sitting around us about like answering some questions that he gave us, talking it over or whatever. And I try my best to like just turn off that anxiety, and it works temporarily. And I'm like, okay, I'm not terrible, I'm just talking. But then I always like am so hyper focused on like the other person's facial expressions and like their hand gestures, I don't know. And I'm just like, they think I'm crazy, they think I'm weird. And I didn't say anything crazy. I'm introducing myself and I'm answering the questions, but I feel like I don't know what it is. It's like somebody just awkwardly looking away. Like, did I say something that freaking crazy, or am I losing my mind? Am I like really just being extra in my mind and making this a much crazier situation than it really is in real life? So anyway, we do the icebreaker. I introduce myself, my major, whatever. It always feels like the entire class is staring at you, and they are when you're doing an icebreaker. Usually, but it only lasts for about 10 seconds, if that, and you move on. So anyway, once that class is over, like I said before, I have like this huge break in between my classes, and I have to figure out what to do with myself. So I was like, you know what? Actually, a few days prior, I had like totally planned it out. I was like, I'm going to go to class, and then when I'm done with class, I'm going to go to like the student union and study and work on my online class, and I'm going to organize myself, go over the syllabus for my next class so I'm prepared. I did that. No, I didn't do that. I went to the student union. I walked around for a while, actually, went to the student union, and I sat down at one of the tables, and it was outside, and I pulled out my laptop. I opened like the website to start doing work, and nothing. I was so not focused on school. I was looking at everybody. I tried to put my headphones on and like listen to music to try to get me in the zone to like focus on work. I couldn't think. I couldn't type. I don't know what it was. I just felt so uncomfortable. It was a little chilly outside, but I was dressed for chilly. I was, whatever. And that wasn't what was making me uncomfortable. I was like, I turned down the brightness on my laptop because I'm like, okay, I don't want anyone looking at my laptop. Not that I'm hiding anything. I don't have anything to hide. I'm literally on the website for class. And I'm trying to do this work. I'm trying to do work. I'm trying to force myself to focus on whatever it is that I have to do. I cannot focus. I try to read the syllabus. I cannot get through a sentence without my mind wandering onto something else. I'm looking at other people. I'm like, what is she eating? Like, where did she get that food from? That looks really good. Or like, where does that hallway lead to? Or blah blah blah. I'm so focused on everything else, and I think I realized that I can't. First of all, I don't like studying in my room. I'm not like a room studier at your desk with lo-fi music playing. I'm not that. I can't focus. I'm also realizing that I don't think I'm a public studier either. It's too much going on. Like, I need the perfect balance of nothing going on and enough going on, you know? Like, it can't be too much going on and it can't be nothing going on. Anyway, so now I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm not doing any work. I'm kind of uncomfortable. What am I going to do? I don't want to sit here anymore. I can't sit here for the next hour acting like, you know, I'm doing work, pretending that I'm doing work. I know I'm not doing work. I actually started to edit my YouTube video, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, what if someone sees me editing this YouTube video? They're gonna think I'm a freaking freak. Like, I'm editing a video of myself in the middle of campus. How self-centered. Like, I'm telling you, these are all the things. I couldn't focus on a thing, and that's why I turned my brightness down. It's almost like, I don't know, like selfish to think that people are even thinking about it. I don't know. And then I start thinking about that. Like, am I like super like just self-centered that I think everyone's looking at me? No, like, I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, I get so uncomfortable to a point where like that I have to get up and I have to leave. I don't know where I'm going to go. I started walking through campus trying to figure out where to go. Oh my gosh. And then I went into a library and I walked up the stairs. I tried to find a spot to sit and study in a quiet place. And I walked up the stairs and I get to the top and I'm like, oh crap, this level is closed. I can't even go up here. I probably look stupid. Like, why are you walking up to a level that's closed or under construction or whatever? I don't know. So I walk back down the stairs acting like, oh, whatever. Oh, I didn't notice. Who cares? But like deep down, I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's probably like, what is she doing? I tell you, I'll get there. But anyway, I'm walking through the library. I'm trying to find a place to sit. I can't find it. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to my car. So I walk to my car. I find it. I sit in my car and I pull out of the parking spot that I was in to go to a much less populated parking spot. There was no one where I moved my car at. I wanted to record a TikTok about, you know, my experience or whatever, and I wanted to record, you know, some YouTube, and I didn't want anyone to see me doing that. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go and do that in a much less populated parking spot area. Okay? So I did. That's what I did. And I sat there like, why am I like this? Like, why am I doing this to myself? Does anyone do this to themselves to a point where like they can't even like just be comfortable and like focus? And I tell you, like, anxiety just like creeps up on you. I went into that day fine. I was comfortable. And then suddenly a few events happen or a few things happen, like my shoe being untied like while I'm walking. And I feel like, oh my gosh, like I gotta stoop down to tie this. But what grown adult crouches down to tie their shoe in the middle of a walkway? No. I don't know if my anxiety was just on 10 because it was just like my first day back at campus and like I was like overwhelmed. But I feel like this often. And I'm just like, this isn't cool. I don't want to feel like this all the time. Why can't I just go about my day and just like chill? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I go to my car, record the YouTube, eat my sandwich, and before I know it, I call my mom because that's what we do. Before I know it, it's time for my next class, and I'm just like, ugh, now I move my car again to a spot that's closer to, you know, my class. I do that, get out of my car, take some stuff out of my bag because I'm like, maybe my bag's just like too heavy. Maybe that's why I'm uncomfortable. So I took some stuff out of my bag that I don't really need for the second class. And I start walking to this class. Everything's fine. I made a wrong turn. Of course, that makes you anxious as well. Because you're just like, you know, you're walking back and forth. And you're like, you know, hope no one saw that. And I got to this class. And thankfully, this class was a larger lecture hall. And I could kind of just like sit down and relax. The seats were comfy. It was like, I was like, okay, the teacher was nice, or she seems to be nice. So far, it's only been one class, and I was able to kind of just like relax a little bit more in that class, although I was looking around at everybody like, okay, what do these people look like? Okay, what are they, whatever. And one thing I always notice about large lecture hall classes is that it always looks like someone came with somebody. It always looks like someone has a friend. Someone went to Starbucks with somebody in the class before, and they're sitting with them in class talking, and they're, enjoying their time before this teacher starts talking. And it's just like, where did you find that? Like, how did you get that? I don't understand how. I mean, maybe these people live on campus, maybe that's their roommate, maybe they enrolled at the same time together, and that's just how it worked. And it just looks like a coincidence on the outside. Like, oh, they just ran into this random person and they just started talking, and they both have Starbucks, and they like found a common, thing that they like to talk about just randomly. And that's just how, I don't know if that's how it works, but that's how my brain paints it out to be. And I sit there like, how can I not do that? Like, I don't know. I don't understand how to do that or where to even start. I'm like, and whenever, I think I have to, for one, stop being so like overly conscious about everybody else's facial expressions when I talk, and like, how they react to like the sentence that just came out of my mouth. Like, I think I really do have to stop being overly conscious about that. But for one, I mean, I don't know where to start with that. That's like a deep internal anxiety thing. Like, I don't know where to even start turning that off, like that part of my brain. And I feel like that's just such a long road ahead of me. I don't even know like where, like I said, to start. So that's kind of the experience I had. I also was supposed to get a parking pass, a parking decal, so I don't get a ticket on the college campus that I pay to go to. And I was so ready to get off campus that I totally forgot to get a parking pass. So hopefully I don't get a ticket, because we don't need that either. I like one of the classes that I'm in, because my teacher was talking about, the identity that people want to put online. It's kind of like a digital like media class. And he was talking about the specific identity that people want to put online about themselves. And it's only a piece of them. It's not the entire picture. It's not their whole personality. It's just whatever quality that they choose to put themselves on the internet as. I mean, obviously, if you're active on the internet or on social media, what am I saying internet? Like, it's whatever. On like social media, like on TikTok and like on Instagram, like obviously people want to put their best self out there, and they want to look impressive and look like they're doing something, and they don't want to put these vulnerable times out there because you don't want to look like you're ever going through something, which is why. And then I was also listening to Emma Chamberlain's podcast where she was talking about how Instagram is an illusion or whatever, and I was like, that is so true, because people can like put out there like on social media that they're like the most social person, like they're like going to parties and they're doing whatever it is that they're doing, and you meet them in person and they can't carry a conversation. Where was I going with this? Oh, okay. So I was talking about my teacher, and he was saying that, whatever, that's what they put online. So that's what I immediately thought about my podcast, because these are the times that like I think people need to hear about, like the times that aren't so stereotypical. Like, you don't go to a party every single time and have an amazing time every single time. You don't go on campus at college every single day and have a great day every single day. I mean, you might, if you do have that experience, that's awesome for you. But I feel like no one really talks about the times that aren't so fun, that aren't so great. And I needed someone to relate to badly when I was living on campus by myself. I really needed someone to relate to, and I didn't know where to find that. So I was like, let me share these experiences, because someone probably else needs to hear this as well. And there's not many resources out there to hear these perspectives and these experiences. So that's why I really started this podcast, because I want to be that person, I guess, to relate to somebody that needs badly someone to relate to or to hear from, or like a new perspective that is never really shared. So I thought that was really cool digital identity. I'm not afraid anymore of putting myself out there as awkward or weird or whatever, blah, 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 with no makeup on or whatever, because I would never post a picture before with no makeup on. But now I'm a little bit more, relaxed when it comes to that. Now I'm making YouTube videos of me when I first wake up, and I really don't care. And I feel like that's okay. That's a-okay. Okay. But yeah, being there, going back to when I said I deeply or really, really needed someone to relate to, it just reminded me this experience that I had the other day of how I felt when I was on campus. When I really was there, when I was living there before. And I felt so confused and lost. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I felt this constant discomfort. And I'm not saying that it's anybody else's problem. Of course, this is an internal thing, something that I'm worrying and thinking about in my own mind. I don't know how to make myself comfortable. I don't know how to cut off this anxiety feeling. I don't know how to okay, first of all, one thing, I think I can carry a conversation. I think I can when I'm comfortable, I feel like I can carry a conversation. But sometimes when that anxiety clicks on, I don't know what to say. And everything is my vocabulary is blocked. I don't know how to form a sentence properly. And it doesn't have to be for any specific reason. So I end up just being quiet. And that's not how you make friends or be social. But it just happens sometimes. And I don't really know exactly how to turn that off or if I should turn it off, or if it's just how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. But anyway, I was saying how this experience just totally reminded me of when I was living on campus. I would go to class, do class, come home, go to work, and work was really the only place where I actually did have some a social aspect of life. You're hanging out. You're not hanging out. You're working with the same people for 8 hours straight. Of course, you're going to have to learn them and talk to them and, figure out their personality or whatever. But that was the only real place that I could be social. When you're going days without talking to somebody, that is a weird feeling, and you end up talking to yourself, and then you end up starting to answer your own questions, which is really creepy. That's a weird situation to be in. And I'm not talking answering your own questions in your head. I'm talking about answering your own questions that you asked in your head, but you're answering the question out loud. So it's just who asked that question and why am I answering it out loud? Okay, now point is, I don't want that for this year. If I'm going to be on campus, if I'm going to be on campus a lot more this semester or this year or whatever, I'm going to have to be social. I can't go about, yes I can, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out what it is that I want here. I do want someone to be hey, let's go to a coffee shop and study. Hey, let's go. Or me say that to somebody else and feel comfortable to say that to somebody else. I don't want to feel this constant discomfort when I go to class. Oh, I'm probably blocking her view. Let me move out the way and accommodate, whatever. I felt so overly conscious when I was living on campus before that. And now that I'm back on campus, I'm feeling those feelings again. And I don't want to have to feel that again because it's such, again, a weird feeling. So anyway, that was my experience the other day. And I can tell you that I'm kind of determined to not feel that way anymore and go oh, who cares? I also wanted to record vlog, but anxiety and vlogging in public don't mix. It does not go well. Your camera shots are not good because you're not in the zone. You're not focused because you're focused more on who's watching you and what they're thinking. Oh my gosh, I made a whole TikTok saying if someone's judging you, who cares? But if someone's silently judging you behind your back and you would never know, really, who cares? You don't know what other people are thinking. So it's best to just go about your day. Stoop down and tie your shoe if you have to. Don't just stick your laces in your shoe and wait for it, just temporarily so you can hide and tie your shoes. Stoop down and tie your shoes. No one really gives a crap. Just do what you're gonna do. And that's something I just need to tell myself a little bit more, because I can't sit here and be anxious about stuff that's that small. Anyway, so we're back on campus. We're gonna have a lot more of these experiences, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm excited, I guess. I can act like I'm excited. I'm excited, but I'm also like really like nervous about what's to come. I don't really know where my social life is going to go this year, and I just definitely don't want it to look like last year. Not that last year was bad. I created a lot last year. I ventured out into a new art style. If you don't know my art is at Kirsten Arts on TikTok and Instagram. If you want to look at my art, I ventured out into a new art style. I started a podcast. I focused on my YouTube channel. I did a lot of things that I wanted to do in the previous years, but I didn't because, for one, I had more of a social life in the previous years. More like just, a whole bunch of, things to do. Busy, very busy. And two, I wasn't 21. And I think I wanted to start a YouTube channel since I was 13. Thankfully, though, my mom was like, no, you can't start a YouTube channel. Don't do that, because who knows what So anyway, I'm glad that I'm doing this at the age that I am, and, starting things at the age that I am, because, now I have like knowledge of things that I didn't before, and, maturity that I didn't before. And I think that's really important to have. So yeah, that's all. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. I'm glad to be back and glad to be doing this because I love podcasting. It is like a therapy session. I don't know if I'm relating to somebody in the process, and I hope that I am, and maybe you're having these experiences as well. And if you are, I hope that, it helps you in some way. Thank you for listening. My name's Kirsten. I'm your host. If you want to follow me on my profiles, Introverts Talk 2 on Instagram, and Introverts Talk 2 podcast on TikTok. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I digress. I'm done. And I will be back shortly to talk about some more introverted stuff and issues and things like that, of that sort. But anyway, goodbye.